Okay, our July 22nd City Council meeting is coming to order. Let's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's have the roll call show that all members are in attendance. And tonight we have something that to me is always bittersweet, and that is that we're losing an employee who's been working very hard for the city. And I have a little note from Randy Carroll, who's not here this evening, that he wanted me to read on your behalf back there, Kevin. This is Kevin Huffman, by the way. And Kevin began employment with the city in March of 2004 in the Public Works Street Division as mechanic. As the mechanic, he has been instrumental in specifying and maintaining the street division equipment as well as equipment of other departments within the city. His knowledge of equipment repair and maintenance has been a valuable asset to the city. Kevin will retire from the city on August 2nd, so we have you for a little bit, and I'm glad of that. Congratulations on a great career with the city. Thank you for your service to the city, and we wish you the best of luck in retirement. And I'll add one thing on my own, and that is more than just luck. I wish you all the best in making the best of your retirement, but we will miss you, obviously, on staff here. And we do have a plaque for you, Kevin, if you could come up. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thanks. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes of the July 8th, 2024 meeting, approval of bills and claims, license and permits, which include renewal of Class C retail alcohol license for American Legion Post 7, renewal of Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service, La Caracas, I should have read that ahead of time, Mexican Market, and renewal of Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service, that's J. Muggenberg LLC, doing business as Hourglass LLC, the infill housing incentive applications and cancellations, and appointments to committees, including one appointment, which is John Perrin to the Downtown Facade Grant Program. Any discussion? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Carolyn and Jason seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Shrek?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bornero?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, are there any oral requests from the audience? Anything from the audience of members of the public wishing to address the council for items not on the agenda? If there's anyone here that'd like to speak this evening? All right, and we'll move on to ordinances. Our first ordinance is the amendment to the City Code, Chapter 170.33, Special Provisions, second reading, and Dan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the second reading since an ordinance amendment. I have not received any calls or comments against the change of the ordinance, so I would recommend that we waive the third and passing into the ordinance as presented.
Moved.
Okay, there's a move and a second. And
To waive the
Jason.
second and the third.
Yes.
Yeah, for both. Right.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Tom?
Jason second.
Got it.
Roll call vote, please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Shrek?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bornero?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, and we need a motion to adopt the ordinance, please.
So moved.
Second.
And the second one by Jason. Roll call, please.
Atherton?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Shrek?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bornero?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you very much. And resolutions, our first resolution regards Ziegler Carroll LLC and Aaron.
Yes, tonight we were supposed to have a public hearing to accept the development agreement with Ziegler Caterpillar They have asked for a bit of an extension to adjust their dates for their timeline of their project. They wanted to reiterate that their commitment to Carroll is strong and that they are still planning on the project. They just needed longer to adjust the date in the developer's agreement to continue that project.
Did they give you any kind of a timeline extension?
They did not. I'm going to be in contact with their project manager who took the place of Terry Draper here last spring, and to kind of keep us appraised as to where they're at.
It sounds like they're doing all they can to get things done as
Yes.
expeditiously as they can. Very good. Okay, so that's just for information only?
Yep.
Correct? Okay. Moving on to Echo Urban Renewal Plan, and Aaron?
Okay, as you all know, we've been working with Echo Distributing or QRS Investments with a development agreement to build a $4.5 million, 21,000 square foot commercial building on the northwest side of town on Highway 71. The next steps that we need to take are setting a date for a consultation meeting with the affected tax entities and to set a public hearing for the developer's agreement as written.
All right, so we are, what you're looking for tonight is just a time to set.
Well, we have we're looking for determining the necessity and setting dates of a consultation and a public hearing on a proposed Echo Urban Renewal Plan for a proposed urban renewal area in the city of Carroll, state of Iowa. And our taxing entities, we're proposing August 1st for that date.
And then the public hearing is at the
And then-
August 26th council.
Yep, and the August 20, Laura
So
took
these
care of it.
would be separate.
Yes, two
Okay.
motions.
Separate resolutions, two motions.
And the consultation meeting is at
10.
10, I was gonna say 10.
The consultation meeting was
Yes.
August 1st.
August 1st at 10 o'clock.
Is there a motion to approve that meeting?
So moved.
Carolyn approved,
Second.
and
Kyle.
seconded by Kyle. Roll call vote, please.
Shrek?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Ordinary?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, now we need a motion to approve August 26th for the resolution fixing date for a public hearing on the proposal to enter into a development agreement with QRS Investments LLC.
So moved.
I didn't catch, was it Kyle or Laverne?
Laverne.
Laverne and Jason second, I believe. Roll call vote, please.
Ordinary?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Shrek?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, and one last one is the year-end transfers resolution for fiscal year 23-24, and Laura?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Attached to your memo was a listing of all the transfers in the resolution form, and then also a listing of the funds and the effect that those transfers would have on each of those fund balances. There are a number of reasons why, or there's reasons why we do the transfers. In many cases, the state code says that we have to deposit the funds that we get into a special fund, and then from there, you can transfer the monies out for related expenses or qualified expenses. And then also on the sheet with the fund balances, there is a listing of projected re-estimated balances of where we thought we were gonna end the year for fiscal '24 when we were putting together our fiscal '25 budget. And I also tried to identify if there was a big difference between those two numbers of where we are going to, or pretty close gonna end, and where we thought we were going to end, and why there's a big difference. A lot of times it has to do with some projects that were not completed as of the end of June when we had projected that maybe we thought they were gonna be done. That's been one of your main reasons. And then we could budget conservatively where typically revenues come in higher than what we anticipate, which is a good thing. And then the expenses, we might be a little bit high on our expenses from where we actually end the year when we do our budgeting. So when that all comes together, we end in a positive balance. But for tonight, this is part of the process to close out the books for June 30, so then we can work on preparing all the financial information and all the year-end reports and getting the paperwork ready for the audit that's gonna be coming up here sooner than later. So what I'm asking council tonight is if you have any questions on any of the transfers, I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, I'm asking for your approval of the transfer resolution so those funds can be moved from one fund to another.
So I didn't catch it earlier, number 19,
Okay?
what is that transfer? What is that for?
So that expense from, the federal special revenue, those are the ARPA funds. And the expenses that have been paid so far, those are engineering expenses for, subdividing or creating that subdivision for the West Gulf View project.
Okay, there's other expenses to get to this point.
Those are just the expenses to get to this point, yes.
Okay.
One comment I have as far as the end of the year reports is looking at the revenues and expenditures at this point. I feel we were in good shape and we've done a pretty good job this year of finishing things up. We'll get a little bit more in the details as far as an end of the year report after we've closed everything out. It takes a little time to close everything out financially, so hopefully sometime in the next month, Laura and I will come back with a little bit more detailed report and just talk about each department and a little bit of how things ended up.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023-24 transfers?
So moved. Second.
Tom and Kyle, seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Shrek?
Yes.
Jerks?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Wardenaro?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, moving on to reports, thank you very much. Reports, the first one is MW Capital Group 2 LLC discussion, Fairview Village Apartments. And I guess we'll start with Aaron.
A couple months ago, we had a request from MW Capital Group or Dalton Hanson for a matching grant funds to help him with some tax credits. That application was denied, but again, the council has asked to have Dalton come and talk to the council about his plans and his progress with Fairview Village.
Thank you, Dalton. Go ahead and state your name and who you represent.
Dalton Hanson, MW Capital Group 2, as a managing member.
All right, thank you very much. Has anybody got any specific questions for Dalton tonight, or do you have anything to start with?
I can start with, and then we can go
Okay,
to a Q&A
let's go with
session
that.
if you guys want to do that.
Yep.
So we bought the property back in March of 2024. Our budget, complete budget, is $792,500, and interior and exterior renovations. I believe you guys all have this application. We gave it to the state. You need a hard copy. I did bring a hard copy to everyone. Our total budget that we gave to them was $852,000. How the state does it is if we are under budget, then we just don't use the funds. But if we are over, we can't actually get anything else. So we're being conservative in our budgets, and hopefully we don't use that whole amount. What we plan on doing is we have a budget from, or a quote from a company from Des Moines to do the whole outside siding. It's roughly $146,000. We're putting in 42,000 square foot of flooring in every single apartment and the common areas. Landscaping, refacing the parking lot, and all new appliances, resurfacing all new cabinets, new paint around in the apartments. Obviously, we have new AC units, as some of them are 20 years old, and they don't work, so we are replacing every single one of them. They are affixed to the building, so they will be stationary. As for everything else, it is going as planned from a renovation standpoint. We have roughly 7 apartments completely finished, and 3 of them are moved in with new tenants, and about 5 new applicants waiting to be approved. From a little history about the property, I guess, and the USDA program, as I know you have a lot of questions about the USDA program. So because it was a USDA loan program, since we took it over and we took it out of the program, technically, we have 10 months that we are sitting here with handcuffs on. I cannot kick the tenants out, I cannot charge more rent, I cannot do anything to those tenants. If we do something, like kick them out because of not the right reasons, then they will put it back into the program. This has happened to a property in Storm Lake from a friend of mine that owns it. Their management company evicted the tenant, and the USDA came in and pulled their approval letter and put it back in the program. So now they have to go through a 6-month process of taking it out again. 10 months from March is roughly January. So we are just sitting here waiting for tenants to move out by themselves or to talk to tenants and improve living situations. Now, since we bought the property, 11 tenants have moved out to different apartments or out of the city. Of those 11, there's still probably about 2 or 3 more that probably should go out, but like I said before, we can't physically kick them out because of legal law. Other than that, I know from one of your last meetings that I watched on your YouTube video, there was a big concern about the grass. That is now taken care of. So we are on a 10-day rotating schedule for them to come and mow the property and weed whack. If there's any issues, I believe my phone number might be in here. Maybe. Feel free, or Erin at least has my phone number, feel free to give me a call. I answer it day and night. You can ask my wife, she does not like it, so. Other than that, what we are looking for from a assistance to the city is a 10-year tax abatement. When doing the math on the 10-year tax abatement, our assessed value is roughly 2.7 million, somewhere around there, 2.5 million. We bought the property for $3 million. The increased tax from just the purchase is $12,000 rounding a year on the increased value from the assessors. That is roughly 31% of the value of the property. To get to the state grant level, which is $1,000 per unit, and that is the main reason why we did not get the grant, because we didn't have a codified law stating effective, help from the city. You're looking at roughly 10 years to get to that 1,000 per unit, which is 72 units, $1,677.67 per unit over that 10-year time frame. With that being said, I actually was doing some research before this meeting here and looking at your guys' 2024-2025 fiscal budget. It's only about 0.29% of your general fund that you guys have. So it's a drop in the bucket from my perspective to make a property, what it used to be. I know it's a sore eye for a lot of people and a lot of contention in this community, and we have full faith in bringing it back up to what it once was and to help out the community. It is across the street of a school. I have kids, so I like to provide a safe place for my kids, let alone other people's kids. So other than that, I did have there was someone in here, I don't remember her name, but she was talking in one of the last meetings that I watched a YouTube video about the rental rates that we're charging, how they're out of line or whatever. She put it in a phrase that I don't remember, but what we're charging for rent for a 2-bedroom is $875, and for a 1-bedroom it's $650. It is in this application we went to the state. From a square footage standpoint, that's only 77 cents per square foot. When I did some research of Carroll, Iowa, 914 US 30 right by Carroll, they're charging 75 cents per square foot. Meadowwood, they're charging 89 per square foot. So we're roughly right in the middle. Now we're doing $700,000 of renovations into the property, so it can essentially justify, the 2 cents different from your lowest person charging rent. But I feel like we're competitive, and we're not trying to stiff people out. We're for the common working people. So we try to help. That is one also contention is Section 8 people. You guys talked about if we're accepting or not. Now, Section 8 is just a program of assistance that they give out to people. They get money from USDA. It's just a separate program. They get it, and then they give a voucher to a specific tenant. That tenant will bring the voucher to a landlord, and that landlord can accept or reject it. It does not mean that you have to let them in. You can choose to or not. Now, we have a pretty harsh vetting process. I will check your cars. I have gone into other people's apartments that have tried to live with me or in our facilities and have looked at their cleanliness and how they live. So it's not an easy other than that, I think that's really the, I guess our timeline. We ran into, so that's one thing that we were, playing around with. So with the state funding, the grant that we were trying to apply for, technically, when we applied for that tax credit, if we have spent money already, we can't recoup the money. So they pretty much say, you know, anything going forward, you can write off, but anything prior, we are not gonna do so. Now, obviously, we didn't get the tax credit, so that's fine. But we will go forward with our renovations according to plan. Our plan is to get Fairview Apartments completed, refaced, new fascia, new everything by August 2025. That includes filling the tenants and stabilized. That's our requirement, but it's also our banker's requirement to get it done by that time. So we do have a stipulation with our bank to get it done prior to that. Obviously, if we can move that timetable up, my goal is by December 31st, 2024. Our contractors know that, and so if we can get it done before then, and just save 8 months of expense, time, money, yada, yada, yada. So, other than that, I think that's really everything that I can talk about. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask.
So they do the tax credit application once a year.
Once a year.
So when you say, you talk about tax credit, are you still planning on applying for that tax credit?
Yes, we will. We'll just use the funds for something else.
So, when is that tax credit awarded?
It's awarded every June.
So, this is my holdup on this is, you've got 7 units done right now, which is about 10% of the apartments. And you're gonna write that money off. You won't be able to collect on tax credits on those. If you plan on having this done by August of 25, that gives you 2 months to finish everything on the remaining apartments.
We're gonna finish all the apartments by August 2025, regardless if we get a tax credit or not. So from a tax credit, if we apply for it, the funds will be used to more benefit the community, you know, playground, new parking lot, you know, something, you know, on those lines, not necessarily fixing the, you know, inside to get them habitable. So,
Do we get that in like writing that you're gonna take that money and you're gonna put it into playgrounds or something like that?
well, it wouldn't be money from you, so I have to actually submit, you know, all my invoices to the state.
Well, it is money from you because I'm originally giving you the 10-year abatement, so it is money from our tax, it's not me, it's my taxpaying constituents are giving you
Well, the
money.
grant is
Are
from
they,
that, yeah.
are they gonna see that money back?
It'll provide value to the property in which will increase tax rates, right? Your tax amount, tax assessed value,
Yeah,
in which you will see the money back, going back after the 10-year tax payment.
okay.
But we have to, we can't just willy-nilly spend money, right? You know,
Neither can we.
yeah, so we have to provide invoices to our banker, to our bonder, to our contractor, to our everyone. So it's all methodical in how we will use that money.
So-
And it's all the purpose for all of it is to improve the property and to create more value at the property.
Dalton, I have 2 questions. You said you have a harsh vetting process. Would you be very detailed and explain it? And the second part, who does the vetting?
I do the vetting. Like I said, we run a background check, we run a credit check. They have to supply pay stubs or anything like that. I will go to their house that they're currently living in, and I'll check out their cleanliness, have a face-on-face conversation / interview. And there's, in that background check and, income verification is what you call it. And
Okay.
if they don't meet certain criteria that we have, you know. then
Well, I know you're limited to, through the Fair Housing Act and
we're
what you
not
can act.
limited at all, except
That's
for-
federal law.
We're not, so it is federal law, but in the instance that we we can still give reason not to accept a tenant for certain reasons, not just because, it's not like, yeah, we are under fair housing law.
And
but-
give me an example of what that could be for you. What, where, why,
Well, it's on a case-by-case example.
well, give me like an example. I don't want names or anything, but give me an example of what would not meet your criteria on accepting someone.
We had someone who applied to go to Fairview and they had a murder charge. Obviously, we're not gonna accept that.
Okay, okay, you filled 7 units. Are all the people working? Do they have jobs?
Yeah, yes.
Do you vet the people, so say a woman comes in and applies, does not put on spouse, boyfriend, paramour, whatever you wanna call it?
So we.
At that point, are you doing vetting on that person as well?
If they fill out an application and they put whatever name they put on, if they have a boyfriend, a husband, daughter, we will research every person that's living in there. If they're not on a lease, then technically they can't live there, and that's a lease violation, and we will kick them out.
Are you going, okay. Do you, currently, you said you have the 7 apartments filled. Do you have any waiting lists or what, like,
So right now, we're not actively marketing apartments. We're trying to wait to get some more done to go and push. Would I say we have a wait list? Yes and no. Do we have a wait list? Yeah, go down to Section 8, and they have a file cabinet of 50 applicants that people are trying to find in place. You talk to some companies, and there's one company that drives a bus to a neighboring city and brings in people. Can that limit their cost or reduce their cost if we have housing here in Carroll? Absolutely. Would they do that? 70% chance probably.
so I guess a question I have, and maybe I'm privy to some things that I probably shouldn't know, but I'm gonna kinda ask it. I know that one of the tenants that just moved in there, I can speak from experience and knowing their past cleanliness history. And I'm not gonna say their name on the record, clearly. Clearly. But I can tell you the 2 previous places that they've lived, how the conditions were of when they left there. So I guess my question is, are you really going out and talking to the previous landlords about the conditions in which they're living?
Yeah.
So you've been out to talk to Miss Coking out at the trailer park?
No.
Okay.
So here's you brought up the fact that you didn't get this tax credit due to the fact that we didn't have a resolution or something like that.
Correct.
Is that provided you in some type of email traffic, or is that just, because you went up there?
That is a conversation with the.
Well, you probably watch these enough. I love these conversations and nudges and handshakes and stuff like that. You went up there with a pretty strong letter of support, would you not agree?
Absolutely.
Yes, and so, to say that you didn't get it just solely because of that, based off a conversation or something, if there's no valid proof, that could have been one of the many litanies I've spoken to Iowa Economics. It's not just that you did not have this resolution
May
here.
not or may not, but the person
Okay.
we talk to, the first thing they look at is, does the community support it just as much as we do?
And you had a letter,
And we
pretty
have a
strong
letter.
letter saying that we did support it.
Absolutely.
Okay,
and I
it's a,
completely agree with that.
so we
But
gotta kind of clear that up. Then you also said that you had some other apartments. I guess, where are these apartments located? I'd like to see the end result. That might help me make a decision if I could see the end result of what you're trying to do. Because to this point, I mean, mowing the grass has become a concern. I mean, the simple basics things of putting this thing together. I personally feel that all this stuff should have been together before you bought it. I assume when you bought it, somehow, some way that you penciled it out so that this would make money, correct? With or without us, correct?
Yeah.
Since we've gone into this, since you've owned it, we've had problems with mowing, we're still having some problems up there, and I don't know if it's just those 3, right? I wanna see the end result, and as you said, your MW group, you spoke very highly of them, and I wanna believe you. I wanna see the end result of where we're at. Does that make sense? And I don't know if you could provide me with that information where I can see where you came in and took an apartment like Fairview, right? And then did it. Because in my world, talk is cheap. We like to talk up here a lot about handshakes and nudges and stuff. If it's not written on paper, guess what? it doesn't really matter. Does that make sense? And so that's kind of where I'm at on it. I also believe that 10 years is far too long. Far too long. And I look at it, I'm looking at it as an elected official. 10 years is me, my predecessor, and the next guy is now in business. And I have no proof or anything else like that. And so 10 years to me is an outlandish number that we're in bed, per se, with a deal for 10 years. I mean, my youngest will be 20 years old, you know what I mean? Like, that's very, very, you have kids, it's a very long time. And so I understand that, I think you need $1,000 per unit, which would be a total of $72,000. And so I urge,
Roughly 7 years, 6 years.
I like more about 5, whichever comes quicker, but I like you, I'm a businessman too, so you know what I mean, there's a negotiation
Yeah,
in
there's
between it.
negotiation.
10, to me is, and I'll tell the council, I think that you're on cloud, you're in the moon, in the stratosphere. We gotta come together as a council kind of and talk about, one, can we support this? And what are the time restraints of us being able to support this? And you hitting wickets that you need to hit. Does that make sense? Of where we're kind of going. And I'm hoping that you're willing to do that with us through our open dialogue with you and stuff like that.
Absolutely, I'm looking for it. So an average city, every city, they have roughly a 5 to 10 years. So I'm good with 5 or 10 or 7 or 6 or 8. We can always negotiate. I'm a business person.
Well, I'll tell you, every time that we want to spend money in this town, we always say that we're not average. So I assure you that that's come out of a lot of, we're excellent. So you're dealing with the city of Carroll, who we are excellent. And so,
No, I am open to negotiation. I mean, anything helps. If it's a dollar or if it's $100,000, anything helps. It's rather than not zero. Like, the whole premise of getting a tax abatement was talking to people in Carroll, including council members or city managers or prior council members, and they were in full force of saying, hey, we want to help because it is a sore subject in Carroll, Iowa. And so I'm a firm believer also to proof this in the pudding. So if you,
I would even like you to go back to them and talk to them and truthfully find out why the application was late. There was a lot of stuff involved, just not that we didn't. So
we handed our
if,
application in.
yeah, but it was,
10 days prior to what it was due.
but it was late. It was past the timeline and stuff. And so there's quite a bit of things that happen. So I do my homework just like you that happened in this process. And so I would like to see, is this really feasible for you? Did they know about you? Absolutely they knew about you. And they can only tell me so much. But the application's late. You know what I mean? There's some steps that need to be taken, I feel, until we can approve this. You know what I mean?
Fair enough, yeah.
And you need to make good faith to us, I believe, so that we can get it to that point.
Yeah, that's it. 10 months till the next time it's due. So we can work on that good faith during that time. And I'm always open to questions and concerns and comments, and we can talk and work through it together.
Can you, go back to Jason's question? I think the first part of your question is, where do you currently have apartment complexes, in what cities?
Storm Lake was one of them, is that what I heard?
No, that's a friend.
Cherokee, Webb, Sioux City. So those are the 3 cities that we have.
I guess, and off the record, could you maybe send us names, addresses?
Yeah, off the record, I can-
I don't want you to have to, I get it.
Dalton, you can send them.
Or send them to city managers so that we can see this success that you are speaking of, which I truly hope is true, and this is a good, we can pioneer forward and things like that.
And Dalton, you received assistance from each of those other 3 cities. Is that accurate or not?
No,
Sioux City, Webb,
just Sioux City.
just Sioux City.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
What's your current assessed value?
Current?
Yeah, what's the assessed
Carroll?
value up there, or not? Cause your tax abatement is on the increase of the assessed value.
I just pulled it, and you're at 2.65 million, so just under 2.1 million.
so 2 cities didn't give you anything?
Well, we just bought them.
Oh, and have they gone through the transformation and everything?
City of Sioux City has but it was a facade grant. So same process as a tax abatement.
Do you have any completely done buildings?
This is the second building that we bought to this magnitude of a
Okay, so is the I guess maybe I'm not, is the first building done?
Is the first building done?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, so we can see the end result of where this is. And that city did not give you a grant?
that city gave us a facade
A
grant.
facade grant. So the Sioux City one is
Done,
100% complete?
yeah,
I go up to Sioux City all the time. I can drive by and look at this completely done project?
yeah.
Okay.
Dalton, I'm getting a lot of questions from people who live in the area and about what a black eye the apartments still have. How they present themselves hasn't changed. I went up and walked all over the property yesterday. I gave photos to other council members. And I've been asked, I mean, Fairview is it's a really nice neighborhood. This has been like this for months. You bought the property in March. And I go by a lot. And I don't think it's getting mowed every 10 days. People in that area, they take really good care of their homes. And and I'm just the messenger. You've got a big project. I mean, you took on a huge project. But people, as somebody said, we have high expectations in Carroll. And so far, what is not getting done to the exterior is bothering people because they don't feel like you're making much effort. That's what I'm hearing. They aren't making any effort. And I agree. I've been through 3 different owners of that complex. And it's been my experiences with them, promises made, promises broken. And I will tell you, a lot of people have lived in those neighborhoods around there for a long time, and they've just had it. I'm the messenger, but when you see this, to me, how it looks now with all the weeds and the cracked cement and the cracked sidewalk, the parking lot is in terrible condition. There are little kids in that Far West apartment. Their bikes are out there. If they fall on that concrete, they're gonna get all scraped up. I mean, this place is an eyesore.
It is nice, already.
So when will we see some results so I can respond to people?
Well, our focus is renovating the inside of the apartments first, and then is to do the outside. So,
It defies logic for me that you can even get renters when the property looks like it does. This is me speaking.
Yeah, some of the stuff is just nit tuck stuff. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not asking you to do.
Yeah.
I mean, get the weed guy over there, get the sign taken down. Like, this is
Spray the
external things
weeds.
that we can.
Yeah, spray the weeds in the sidewalk and I mean, it's really dangerous. You said you want to attract families and you want to attract teachers. With the way it is and there's one little playground area and,
playground area is not ours.
okay, it's not yours. Well, anyway, the whole, yeah, you know the scoop.
I-
You mentioned the,
I completely understand your concerns, and there is a plan on when to get those done.
Right.
Now, I only have 3 people working there, so it is taking time, but,
okay.
like I said, August 2025 is our deadline to
Yeah.
get everything 100% complete,
Let-
outside, inside, everything.
Okay, here's another thing, when we were dealing with Carlson. What's your day-to-day operations gonna be like as you fill the apartments? Are you going to have a manager on site? Will that manager live in the apartments? What will the expectations be? What are you thinking about day-to-day operations? Because this is where the things have unraveled with these in the past.
Correct. Yeah, presence makes a big difference on fighting crime. Completely agree with that. As our long-term plan, so when we bought Fairview Apartments, we did get first right of refusal from Carlson on the Harbor Crest, which is the last building, which has the playground, and the ones behind it. So we have first right of refusal on both of them, which we plan on buying next year. When we buy those, we'll have roughly 112 units total in Carroll. At that time, we will have a on-site property manager. Now, with that being said, Friday, 8 to 5.
Are they living
They're not-
there?
They're not living there.
Where did they
just as,
come from, your maintenance people? Where did they live?
Sioux City and Iowa City.
So they're dropping in periodically as needed, is that,
They're staying in a hotel,
okay,
Monday through Friday, then go home on the weekends to visit family, whatever. They come
Okay.
back Monday through Friday.
okay,
So as anyone, if you're working there, you get more foot traffic of tenants if you lived there. So it's best to live off-site for now while they're doing the work, so they're, get some rest.
I got one thing that we need to bring up here is that thing used to have approximately 25 police calls a month, okay? 2 months, I got this report from Brad, 2 months ago, the month of May, you had 4 police calls. The month of June, you only had 2. So that part of the
What
thing,
were those calls?
they were just nuisance calls, they weren't anything major.
Well, that's because nobody lives there.
Nobody lives there.
Nobody
I
lives
know.
there is why, like,
But we're hammering, but one thing is, that part of this equation has been pretty well eliminated. So they're,
If
the
they're-
credit to you on some of that.
Yeah, if
Well,
there's,
until they fill back
Till
up.
they
I
fill
mean,
back
that's,
up.
that's gonna be my concern, because
Yeah.
like Carolyn said, we've been through 3 owners since I lived here, and I can tell you a majority of my time working on the street was spent there. I mean,
And-
so,
and
It's like
that's what I
Brad-
wanna know is how are you going to maintain that, or how are you going to make it so that we're not sending our police department up there multiple times a day to deal with nuisances, disturbances, drug calls, domestics?
I think it's the type of tenants. When you have USDA program tenants, they live 100% off the program. And so they have nothing better else to do. Not downplaying them, but that is a fact. They sit at home and do nothing. So what we're trying to do is build in with people who actually work, people who do work actually have a better lifestyle and provide a better community to live in.
how many people live there now?
24.
24. So I have an apartment building that has 15 people that live in it. And Brad, how many calls have you gotten in my apartment building?
Didn't know you owned one.
I didn't even know I owned one. So does that, I mean, that, like, so I see what you're saying and credit to it, but like, if there's only 24 and we're already at 2, we start filling this thing up. And that's not your fault, I don't think, but it's kind of one of those things, if nobody lives there, then they're not gonna get, they're not gonna be
I don't
going, so.
receive any phone calls of any of the other apartments this is the only apartment complex that we receive police phone calls.
Okay.
So,
But we don't know that it was leftover people that haven't left yet.
Yes.
But speaking to your credit, I mean, Kyle and I were up there, the inside apartments that you were fixing up looked nice. Hallways weren't done, but I think that would be the last thing I would do is, why would you fix up hallways? We're gonna drag everything in and out. I think what we're looking for is basically the end result. Like you said, the proof's in the pudding.
yeah, and the end
Wanna
result
see a
is
finished
large
result.
task, right, we're doing 60 apartments
Right.
and outsides and hallways,
Right.
common areas. There's a lot of issues that were just patched up with rubber tubes instead of
Yeah.
copper piping. So it's a DIY fix that they've
Right.
done for the last 20 years. And my contractor does it, he's anal to retention.
I've seen some of it. It's
Yeah, he's,
good work.
He's fixing them how they should be, so we don't go back to the issue.
Yeah, you have a long-term investment in it.
Well, now you're working on this building by building, like tackling building A and then finishing that and then B.
So we went through all apartments and we made a list of a hierarchy of which ones are quicker to flip and get renovated, and then working on the more extensive ones last, because they're gonna involve more time.
So,
That is not, now that's, jumping from one to the other, it's not one building only, then one building, then one building.
well, what I was getting at is if you were doing building by building, I figured you probably weren't for that very reason, but if you were doing something like that, if we could see a before and after,
Yeah.
are you willing to, let's say, give us a before tour of a couple that you're working on now, and then let's see how you've progressed, if you have time here.
Yeah,
If you wanna go
walk through, feel free and go any time of the week. You can
And
certainly go
your
do so.
workers would be there, so I would be willing to do that.
So do I.
Maybe a couple of us at a time would come up there, and
Yeah.
if you're free with that,
Yeah,
I'd be one that would like to take a look and see what they're at now, and then
Well, we have.
stop back in a month and see what.
Seven done, about
Okay.
12 or so in the process of getting new paint, everything.
I'd like to see a couple of those
Yeah.
that aren't done yet, and then visit you again in a month and have your workers show us what they've done and how it's progressed in a month.
Yeah.
And you're fine with that?
Totally fine.
Okay.
I think that would help both parties.
Oh, you too? Yeah.
I think that we need to remember too, that part of the reason the constituents in the city have kind of come down on this place is not only because it looks bad, but it also attracts bad tenants. And if we don't have a plan to make sure that that is taken care of as well,
I agree.
then we're dumping money into something that we're gonna see the same result.
And I challenge you to get that exterior cleaned up some, just to give it somewhat of a, I guess you could say, put lipstick on a pig, right? That's what they say, like,
That's a problem, right? If we put lipstick on a pig, then we don't fix the actual issue.
Cause you still gotta mess
But
with
I
air
mean-
conditioning units and.
that sign has no reason to be there. That could be a little bit of lipstick taking down the sign, like taking down the sign, I
We'll be
mean,
putting up a new
you know.
sign, but we're just trying to, figure out, we don't wanna call it Fairview Village anymore, so we're just trying to figure out what's the best way, reason, or, name to call it now.
yeah, I'm just trying to help you out, brother.
If you guys wanna come up with a name too, we can all brainstorm.
We'll leave that up to you.
But, yeah, I'm not that creative.
I'm sure your wife can come up with something clever.
Dalton, if you could just clean that up, I mean, they're broken, it's just, well, you know what's there, the weeds and everything,
I know
and
it's a large
just-
task and it's a sore subject for everyone, but by August 2025, everything,
so people, how long are people gonna have to look at this?
how long?
Yeah. I mean, that's simple. That is simple. You don't need to put your sign up yet, but I mean, this can be handled. Weeds can be sprayed. Your mower can spray weed. I mean, it is. It's just basic taking care of your property. This isn't, people aren't expecting anything extraordinary, just basic, take care of your property and show pride in your property. That's what they're telling me. They're tired of the eyesore.
And I'm also tired of the eyesore, and we can't make money if we have an eyesore. So we are trying to make it better, but it will take time. Now, we can surely put up a sign as quickly as possible, we just have to come up with a name.
No, just.
I don't even think you're
I'm
not even
saying-
asking for that, she's just
I-
asking for
Yeah,
the
we-
removal of the old.
Like,
I
just take it, like,
wanted to
just-
pick up those rocks and get them out of the way. There are kids living there. There's a swing set behind the building you're working on and they're little kids, tiny little bikes. And there's a swing set behind the building and no swings in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So Dawn, I think you
I
got
mean-
beat up enough today, brother.
Well, I'm just telling you,
I was
this,
I will tell you that we do want a resolution, and we do want to support you. I think there is a consensus that we do want to support you, but we need a little bit of, we need a little love from you to you know what I mean, so
I
that.
don't think you're gonna have any
Yeah.
trouble running these, cause there's there's like 1,000 people driving to work every day. Coming to Carroll. That, a lot of them want to live here, but they want something livable.
living, and I don't
Yeah.
think $650 a month for a single apartment's that's not bad.
No,
I don't think they'd take long to fill up at all.
but
Dan, have you done the inspections on the 7 that are open?
We have not. I just had text Rick to ask him if he has, he's not been in there yet.
Okay.
Not since the sale.
Okay.
okay.
so you plan on a lot, fair amount of Section 8 in there?
If people want to move in and that have Section 8 and they still pass our, qualifications, not having a record, having good credit,
And they're inspected once or twice a year by Section 8, I can't remember.
once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding, if it don't pass the inspection, you stop receiving money from Section 8 until it's fixed. Is that correct?
Yeah, 10 days to litigate the issue.
Right.
Yep, so, and they can actually, if they don't meet their qualifications, Section 8's qualifications, they actually can lose their, assistance for 1 year. So, obviously, if you're getting assistance and you complete go
which is a
along.
way different program than what was there.
Correct, completely different,
Yep,
and there's more flexibility.
right.
I should say, so, when USDA was in, you had zero flexibility, now. Yep, but yeah, I appreciate the concern, and definitely know that it is a large task, but we are working diligently to get it all done, and it's just gonna take time. It is a big project, and a lot of money to do it, so completely understand where you guys are coming from and see your concerns, and I appreciate it.
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for coming.
Thank you.
One quick last thing, with the workers you have there, if I wanted to contact one of them, what's best, just go on site, or do you have?
I'll send Aaron his contact info.
Perfect, thank you very much, Dalton.
Mark, what's up?
Quick question, Dalton, Mark Beardmore, former mayor, just a regular member of the community. To your credit, to your defense, you can't control what happened the last 25 years. I think everybody knows that. But there is concern about jumping in bed with you, and then the same things occur, and then we've got that problem, okay? But the only thing, I want it, Grant Crossing, I think would be a great name for that apartment complex. Grant Road, Grant Crossing, Marketing 101.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
Straight A's, no charge. I want to get back to this letter of support. I asked you about it today. What did we find out on that?
I didn't have time to do that.
Well, I'm asking then today,
Yeah.
it came up earlier that there was a letter of support that you received from the city, signed by who?
Me.
Got a copy of that letter?
Yeah, on my phone.
Okay.
I think it was in the agenda back in.
It was a June 6th letter dated, but that council tabled it till you could talk to the young man. And then it was set up for the 22nd for your consideration. Due to the floods, he was unable to show up. So there was no council action, and so no authority to sign a letter or to offer a letter, and I'd just like to know where it came from.
Aaron, city manager.
Do you mind reading it?
Do I mind reading it?
Yeah, do you mind reading it? Just what it says, or what does the city offer in terms of letter of support? What does the city offer in support?
They're not offering support as in like a dollar amount. They're just offering support and they will assist in helping out with the project. Like you have stated when we want and like.
Well, yeah, and I said, I think 10,000 residents would like to be able to make this thing happen and beautify it, make it part of our housing stock, and would help in any reasonable way possible. But the letter that you received, it's claimed to be a letter of support signed by the city manager and not approved and authorized by the city council, is really either void.
Is there something in that letter, Dalton, that was promised, or it's just
No.
an indication?
I'll just read the letter.
Yeah,
There
it
was
says-
nothing that was promised.
Go ahead.
It is with great pleasure for me to write this letter of support for the Workforce Housing Tax Credit Program. The city is very excited to work with Dalton Hanson and MW Capital Group 2 LLC to rehabilitate Fairview Apartments in Carroll, Iowa. Fairview Village Apartments have been an eyesore for our community with less than half the 72 units occupied. The city plans to change the revitalization plan to allow a 10-year or 100% tax abatement for multi-family housing. We believe with the assistance of this program, all 72 units will be available to rent again. As for more recent housing studies have shown that Carroll community is needed of 50 additional units per year. Thank you very much for your consideration. Sincerely, City of Carroll, Aaron, City Manager.
So once again, it says that the city plans to offer 100% 10 years citywide. There was no action here. So what prompted the city manager to send that and offer that letter of support for you? Either something was done behind the scenes and not in an open fashion, or he was incorrect in doing that.
Well, that's an allegation that shouldn't be made because nothing happened behind see.
Sounds like an offer to me. The city plans.
We're above board on everything we do. so-
I understand you are, I get that.
So you're
This is-
saying-
This is a question really for the city manager, the mayor, and the council. Yeah, I mean, you just
Did you
opened,
take
you
it
just
that there
opened
was
your
some
mail.
promise made? Or
No, I
just
did
an
not.
indication that we
An
were going to
indication that
support?
there's support between
Okay.
two different entities to come with a
All right.
common goal.
All right.
So then, Aaron, did you just do that on your own?
I work with the council. I take direction from the council.
So the council told you to do that?
I'm not gonna answer any more questions, Mark. You can talk to my council. Your constituent, you can talk to the council.
Made my point.
All right, Dalton, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you guys have any more questions, feel free.
Yeah.
Okay.
City plans.
Okay, council discussion, Northwest Park Shelter House. Another interesting place to discuss. And Chad, what did
Yeah,
we,
it's all fun.
you sent us all a very interesting email, but where are we at now?
Hey, can I make a motion for like a 5-minute recess?
Sure. Oh, you don't even need a motion. I can just
Or
say.
can we take a
Yeah, that's- I don't. I
2-minute
don't-
recess?
But just go.
Oh, okay.
Keep going, just go.
Yes.
And we'll have Bill Murphy on, so you'll probably have to unmute him, so,
Oh, he unmutes himself,
okay.
so he's on.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead.
Good to go?
Let's
All
talk
right,
about
so-
Northwest Park.
Obviously, we had a lightning strike at the Northeast Park Shelter House, started a fire, major fire. We've been in talks with insurance. Insurance sent the claims adjuster out, taking a look at things. They have not, at this point, gotten back to us with their detailed report. I called again today just to see if they had any progress. They haven't so far. In my memo, I've basically laid out multiple routes forward, basically giving you the, I don't know, Dodge Neon all the way to Cadillac. So at this point, to try and figure out where we want to go from here, we're just going to need some direction to move forward. I got, like I said, Bill Murphy with JEO, structural engineer, had to come and take a look at the existing structure and give a detailed report, just of his findings of the fire damage, everything like that. So he'll be happy, I'm sure, to answer questions at this time too.
So we don't know, so the insurance company's contacted,
We know the value that it's insured for.
okay? What
Number
is,
one, it's gonna depend on which way we go.
what's
If
the value it's insured for?
140,000,
So really, it's 140,000 is all we're ever gonna get out of the insurance company? Is that what I'm understanding?
it'll also depend.
Minus the
so
deductible?
Basically, the way the insurance will work on something like that, if we were ever to build something either like it or something new, like an upgrade, obviously they're going to have what do you call it, a restore value.
Right, so
So it could go up from there.
So that's a cash payment. If we do not do anything, knock it down, call good.
So we have
Yeah,
it
140.
insured for insured value.
What's that?
We have it insured for rebuild value.
No. I wouldn't think so.
well, why
For
wouldn't-
replacement value,
Why
right?
wouldn't-
Or for
Why wouldn't
replacement
we?
value, yes.
Right,
Then yes,
right,
we
so-
would.
I guess,
But that's only on something that would be like what it is. If you're gonna go build something bigger, more like an upgrade, is what they would call it, then
So our premiums went up $100,000, and so we're supposed to our deck sheet, so did that go up
we
then?
don't have money for upgrades.
I'm just asking, so if you look
I'm
at
just
last
laying out
year's.
what insurance has told me so far to this point.
Right,
Oh, I
like what's the
wanna,
deck sheet on it? There should be a separate deck sheet for all of these buildings and stuff like that, and I don't think you could touch it for 140,000 even, well, first of all, to rip it down would probably be 20,
Correct.
30.
or more, yeah.
We've gotten one bid back so far. The other two have told us they're busy, so we're still trying to get one more. But it's less than half of that.
For destruction, for eliminating, getting rid of it.
Correct. Well, for both, for tearing off any part of the wooden structure or demo of the entire building.
Did-
What's
Stuff
the-
stuff that
20
goes out
grand,
for bid,
did you
isn't it
say?
supposed to be approved by us?
Lower
I don't
than
know.
Not that much? Okay.
What is the minimum value, and Noah's he's gonna shake his head. What is the minimum value or the maximum value that we can build without having to have engineering and soil costs in it? I'm sorry, brother, I love you to death. What is that?
So do I, but there's a
I love you to
threshold.
death. Like, you get the big ones, but like, I need to, what is the
What's the
minimum?
threshold this year?
I would look at the attorney route, but I believe state of Iowa is 100,000, needs to be competitive.
I think you're awfully close. Yeah, it's around 100,000.
Is that horizontal or vertical, or both combined?
Or is that both combined?
Or is that plumbing, insurance, and all of it? How does that work?
That's just for the structure, right?
That'd be for
For
everything.
the project, the way state law reads is the estimated cost of the total project. If it exceeds 100,000, it shall be competitively bid. And that's.
That's
the
bidding. We're
estimate.
talking engineering.
That has to be engineering, because that, then to go be bid has to be either stamped by an architect or a licensed engineer.
Can we just verify that and like, even you, if somebody just send me,
Send me
I don't
the
even, I guess
whatever.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
even know where to verify that is that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love you guys, but I just,
Well, just.
trust but verify.
Just wait.
I just want to mention, right after the fire, I was out and about, grocery store, all over the place. People from the neighborhood were coming up to me, and they were not asking for an upgrade. Could you just rebuild
down?
what we, bring it back? No, because that structure has been in that park since
70 years.
1955. And all our parks, we have 9 city neighborhood parks. 9 of them, 8 of them all have restrooms and shelter houses, of some open, some closed. Only Southside Park and Graham Park have closed, the rest are all open. And this is really open, without, with the raised deck and the patio, no windows, no walls, just simple. And that's what people who live in the neighborhood and use it a lot are telling me, could you just get it back to how it was before the lightning strike?
So if we go through the insurance route of just the rebuild, get it back to where it was, I assume the insurance company, you can look up now, I'm sure the insurance company pays the engineering? That's part of our insurance? Because we just sat here and they just gave us a 30% increase and a 40% the year before.
That
And
would
so
be- that'd
it's a
be a
little hard to my
question,
soul right
obviously,
here.
for-
It is like,
For
you know.
the insurance company,
Okay.
obviously.
Yeah, I mean, if that, I guess, I assume, hopefully that's part of our insurance, and if it isn't, it needs to be added immediately, that, I mean, it's, you know, out of the, I mean, this is what we pay our premiums for and everything else, and so. So, I mean, the rebuild, I think that I can get behind the rebuild, because it doesn't cost, I mean, the cost
It'd
is
be
simply,
pretty simple.
yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
then it comes down to the engineering and how much is this truly gonna cost us, but I mean, we kind of talked about when we spent money on other things, we had insurance for this reason, to keep projects within budgets.
Yeah.
And so
I think if it goes
the
over
rebuild
budget-
route is, I mean, if it goes over budget, we're gonna have. I
Wait
mean,
till next year and
yeah,
budget it
We're
in.
gonna have to have a problem, but yeah.
The only thing I would add is, you know, to get grants like parks in other towns around us, they apply for the Timmerman and Renzi grants. And for like new playgrounds, soccer field, that kind of thing. And a lot of the grants anymore, I'm learning through Chris Whitaker, a lot of them expect that you have handicapped accessible bathrooms. Access has become the big thing to get grant awards. And I just wonder if we would get some estimates. They mention in the document here, 2 different routes with the bathrooms. That the first photo I put here, they said use the west doors and have the 2 bathrooms, you know, upgraded and maybe more stalls or whatever, not ADA, but use these doors instead of going in on the sides. Those
What
are
do
the
those 2
pictures.
doors go to? I guess we were out there, I was out there today and it
It
was
was
locked.
basically, I don't know when it was last used, but it was used as a concession stand. So in there is
Right.
basically dirt floor and nothing else in it. I think there's some old toilet lids in there. Like, yeah.
Is there a way to access those bathrooms through those doors? Because they're ADA. I mean, we measured them out today and they're within the
Yeah,
width.
so basically there's just an interior brick wall that divides those 2 spaces.
So we literally just cut an arch on that and then they just go in the bathroom that way.
Or, well,
That's a cheap way to do it.
well, sure, but, yeah, I mean, then you're going through a door over the dirt floor through an archway to a bathroom.
Yeah, but that's a little concrete path in there. I mean, I don't think people are like hanging out in this bathroom for a very long time.
Let's not
like-
get in the ditch about it. Let's figure out how much we're gonna get out of this
Yeah.
deal and be done with it, because I don't wanna see it torn down, but
I
at the
don't
same
either.
sense, I don't want a $2.5 million shelter house.
But here's what I'd like to know just personally, you know, fixing up the bathrooms,
know.
not ADA, but getting an estimate and compare and contrast the costs. But also get an estimate if we did, follow the recommendation, you know, their suggestion in here, they aren't recommending, they're just throwing out ideas. If we could see what it would cost to do ADA, we only have 1 park in Carroll that has the ADA restrooms, and that's out at the Miracle Field.
My question is, how do we get by with that? I mean, Randy's not here to speak to it, but we go around and replace every corner curb with a new
Because
pad
they're
from the
making
Fed.
Upgrades to those.
So
So
it's
the main
kinda
reason we've never.
Grandfathered in, it's
So
like.
until, yes, until
Start
you,
touching them, then you gotta upgrade it too.
correct.
Yeah.
Now, just for everybody's information, chapter 26 of the Iowa Code is public construction bidding. Under 26.3 competitive bids for public improvement contracts, $100,000 is the number. And then you need to have a engineered or architect to handle that.
You trust what's built there?
Under 100,000.
$100,000. Yeah, I mean, as far as the ADA and stuff like that, I mean, I gotta go back to Parks and Rec is, I think, $527,000 over budget this year already. With Merchants Park, that we moved money from here and everywhere else on our original budget, so I'm somewhat hesitant to throw more money into it.
Well, it won't hurt to get numbers.
Yes,
and then we can,
Numbers first, and then let's talk about it.
yeah.
For sure, we
But
wouldn't
we
start
need
anything
to
without
determine,
obvious council approval.
but we need to determine what kind of, project or projects would work. But, to get the numbers, what we're looking for, and then what are the numbers, and take it from there. So, but really, the people would be very happy just to get it rebuilt. They love the upper deck. I asked Aaron today, could city people pour new cement down below? And that might be a possibility. Anyway, we could bring it back and do it in a fiscally responsible
Well,
manner.
Randy's not here, so I think we could have the city people do it, couldn't we?
Yeah, I think we.
I mean, he's not here to vote, so let's just do it and have him do it. and-
and-
You guys looked at me crazy when I said 500. I'm sorry, it's more like $800,000 with Merchants Park, so we are over budget. Like, that budget got blown out on our original budget. It's now out on this budget, so.
I might be on the opposite end, but I'm not so certain that it wouldn't be nice to have something that is climate controlled that we can rent out, much like the one at Graham Park.
I'm
But
right with you.
more
I was getting ready to say the same
climate
thing.
controlled, where we can use it year round. I mean, we've all been to Graham Park, and I think we've talked in our sessions before about the heat and air conditioning and the lack thereof in that building, like if,
So you want
If
to
you
put
look
up?
at Swan Lake State Park, I mean, they've got a
I'm gonna-
facility, you have to call a year ahead to
I
get
called
a
down to
booking.
Jill at the rec center. Laura's gonna bring up some numbers.
Right.
There's a huge need in this town for more facilities than what we have, because, as soon as Laura gets those up, there is way more request on having shelter houses rentable all year round than what we're even able to supply. So my thought is, as long as we're just talking basic information and getting numbers, I would like to see in the flat land of that area, where that baseball field and all that used to be, what's it gonna cost to put a 4-season complex there?
Okay,
Something similar to maybe East Side Shelter House out at Swan Lake. We're just talking numbers, Carolyn.
yeah, I know,
But,
here's,
the thing is look at these numbers. There's all kinds of times,
right.
What's the revenue that we get on Grand Park Shelter?
well, you're not gonna make any money off that, because it's only $40 each day.
but that is also
But it's
something we
still
talked
revenue.
about, was adjusting the amount of money that we're renting some of these
Well-
spaces.
It's been
If we're going to
$40
have a brand
since
new
That
building.
was number 5 on
How
our
many
plan.
money?
Yeah,
Well, here's the thing though, too, Grand Park is our largest park at 19.6 acres. So it draws a big crowd.
I don't disagree, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of times that
Well,
during,
here's-
especially the summer months, that's filled up and there's no alternate place for anyone to go.
Yeah.
Friday
Southside
alone, they
Park
had
has
5
one.
calls for
Yeah.
people that wanted to rent.
Oh, yeah,
On
oh, yeah.
Wednesday.
Everything was full.
Yeah,
Jill's gonna keep track now for a while for us.
And I'm not even trying to make money. I'm just trying to pay for it.
Well, this is something that we can wait until we get some revenue built too. We don't have to build
This doesn't have
something
to be
right
a
away.
tomorrow
This can be a 3 to 5 year program, but, there is a need for more type of things in this town like this. So as long as we're looking for numbers, if it's not too costly, I'd like to know what a new shelter house would cost.
I'd also like to know how many times a year Grand Park Shelter Park is rented out.
Right here, it's in front of you.
Right there.
Oh, is it?
We have a structural engineer here online, able to talk. Does anybody have any questions for him, or can we let him
Let him take off.
take off or not? Anything at this time, or?
I think around $50 a square foot is what it costs, but.
Bill Murphy, structural engineers online, no driving with Jay Hill. Bill did do the report. I think you guys needed it for insurance reasons and fact-finding mission, but if you had questions, really for Bill, would be regarding potentially saving it, now would be the time to ask them. And we can get Bill back again another time. If you look at the options, you see numbers with options, we certainly can bring him back and discuss. But today's was, Bill spent a lot of time out there with the telehandler to get up and get a good view of it. So if there are questions about the existing structure, feel free to ask Bill those.
Is he still online?
He's still here, still online. Do we have any?
Nothing in this is salvageable, right? No wood? Just the brick facade itself?
The brick is structurally sound, or the limestone, yeah.
The audio's on. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my conclusion is the best part of the structure was hit by lightning. Basically all the ornate wood and large members and whatnot, they've been destroyed. They're not salvageable. And once you start taking the roof off, you basically have to take the entire roof off. So what you have left over, that includes the deck as well, just not the roof, but what you have remaining after you've taken off the damaged portion is basically a bathhouse, not a bathhouse, but bathrooms that right now do have some settling issues on the inside that are not in the best condition. So the plumbing would all need to be redone, decks would need to be redone inside. ADA compliance, you would have to take those, you mentioned it earlier, the doors on the end walls. The only way to make this probably ADA compliant would be to start taking out interior walls. They wouldn't be extremely large bathrooms. You'd be putting a lot of money into something that, in my opinion, dollar per dollar, you're going to get more out of spending the money elsewhere on option B, C, or D. Bringing this structure back to life is an extreme amount of money, and what you get out of it at the end, I don't know if you're ever going to pull that money back out of it. And that's just, I mean, that's just the dollar and cents to something like this. The best part of the structure has been ruined, and what we have left is the part that really needed the most attention to begin with.
So you're saying we either have to keep this historical value of it in the shape that it's in, or we can't really do the ADA? It's kind of a decision that we have to make.
No, I think he's saying tear down the full structure, rebuild in place, or else tear down full structure and wait till the money's set aside to build something new. Right? Am I correct?
You'd be correct.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I asked it.
If this were a car, it's totaled.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly. And I mean, a totaled car, you can put a tremendous amount of money back into it, but you still got underneath that pretty shell a totaled car that's not going to, you're not going to get out what you put into it.
So historical value might be history.
I mean, there's even, I mean, look at it this way, if you desired to keep a portion of it, and this is basically part of the demo process, you actually could, the wood portion, that's obviously, that's just going to go away. That has to be demoed. But that upper level, you still have a fireplace on the lower level. The upper level that has the 2 bathrooms, instead of putting money into that, I probably would just take the walls completely down to grade. In other words, to that first level, throw a little bit of additional sand in there, compact it, basically put a concrete cap on it with a railing. You have an elevated concrete deck with a fireplace at the end of it. You'd probably have to keep about, let's say, 8 foot of the fireplace, because you don't want people climbing on it, but you still, on the lower level, you could put in a new concrete slab, because that one's in terrible shape on the lower level. Put in just a concrete slab, throw some picnic tables down there, and keep the fireplace. You still could have an area with an upper and lower. You're not basically rebuilding anything. You're just basically, the demo process is going to be a little bit more meticulous, and you'll get what you get at the end of it without putting a lot of money into it. It's still going to cost money to throw that concrete down there and put a slab up above. But if you wanted anything to still stay in that spot, but not turn around the insurance money and use all of it plus some, plus plenty to bring it back to life, I'd take the money and put it elsewhere and basically get out of that property. You get a couple decks out of it. You're still going to have some cost into it, but it's an option. It's an option.
Well, thank you.
All right, thanks for your time.
All right,
Okay,
thank you kindly. I'll be available anytime you want. Just talk to Noah and we'll discuss further.
okay.
No, thank you for coming in too, taking your time, honestly. I know it's pain in the butt sometimes coming in here. Or I might be the only pain in the butt,
So
I
your
don't know.
direction, Chad, you get your direction?
Kind of.
So you,
I was gonna say, I don't
let's
know
go
if
over
that was
what
super clear
what you are going
direction yet, but
I think,
basically getting estimates, just a roundabout, this is what something would look like, cost-wise, obviously. And then,
I think we need to know what our insurance is going to give us and if they're paying for the engineering fees
Yep.
too. That's gonna be a big determination.
and we need to know about a separate facility and then something about how much it would cost to level this out completely.
which we already
And what
have,
we would
we
do
have
with
one
that
bid in
land.
already, we have an idea of where that is.
What's that?
I said we have one bid already, I don't wanna say it out loud yet,
Yeah,
just
you-
because we're waiting on one more, so.
Right.
When did we put it up for bid? I didn't. see
No, I
that
just
part.
asked for an estimate.
Or tear down?
Oh, just on
mean, how-
tear down?
When did
Just,
this,
just on tear down,
when did this start on fire?
June 22nd,
So here we are, a month later. What's the liability of this thing sitting there the way it is?
So we went over that with Bill. The only part that looks like it has any capability of failing right now is the outside first truss. And the way it's seated in there, it'll actually just start like sagging out, not falling in. So obviously we'll be able to recognize when failure starts.
But I'm not
again,
saying
that's why I
I'm not
was
saying
getting-
let it sit there forever. I mean,
No,
either gotta
or-
do something with it or,
Correct.
knock it down, so.
Yeah.
All right,
You
fair
know,
enough.
this is a situation where, you know, we don't have to build it right away this year or next year, or we can find out what all the costs are between fixing this and a new, and then make determining, and then we can decide how long we wanna wait. Instead of borrowing money, we might be able to wait 2-3 years to get the money and then build. And then, the one thing that Jill's gonna do for us, she's going to, keep tabs of how many times she gets a call that everything's already rented, so we can justify, do we wanna, look at it, another shelter house, all year-round shelter house. So those are just numbers we can accumulate and make decisions later.
Another thing, just to keep in the back of your mind, is what we would do with that space if it was gone.
Yeah, it looked a little awkward.
Is it big enough for a house? Is it big enough to have a lot on it? And I don't know, I was out
I
there,
wouldn't think so.
right at the end of the street and it's got sewer.
Or sewer and water, can you sell that? Would you
Could
be
you
able to
just-
sell that as a lot for a home?
Would that be possible?
Probably. Good, yeah, you'd have to survey it,
We need Randy here, don't we?
survey the lot and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cause there's sewer and water there.
So if there's a housing
Oh, and we
shortage,
could just sell the tennis courts and, that's where you got a pre-built thing, huh?
That would, and if we sold it, that would give us some money toward another project. So,
Well, and, excuse me, people also want, pardon me, more amenities in the parks, like soccer. I've heard soccer, can we do a splash pad? I mean, that flat ground, you could accommodate a lot of different things, a better basketball court, the little one up by the tennis court. So,
it used to be a baseball
spaces,
field.
if all the backstop is still there, and you
Yeah, I
can
know,
see
but-
the bases. It has possibilities, but that park, according to the neighbors, is used a lot. It's popular, so that's what I'm told.
Is the park or the shelter house used a lot?
Both.
Chad, when you told me, what did you base that on? When I sent you an email asking how much it's used, cause I didn't realize it was used that much, is what it is.
Yeah, so, basically, it's just our regular trash pickup in the mornings. There's always bags there. I mean, we obviously know it gets, a lot of people call and ask about if they need to reserve it for just like a family picnic or anything like that. And we don't require, it's kind of first
It's
come.
first come, first serve on that one, so. best thing to suggest is just keep thinking about, if we take it down, what do we put on there, if anything? We don't just want a flat piece of land up there with no use.
Well, and the parking lot is in excellent condition. There are 2 handicapped spaces to the south, but the parking lot, well, there's a lower one, upper one. Upper one is in great condition.
Yeah, so if we down the road put in a brand new, went with the greatest thing we can put in, which would be an indoor shelter, year-round indoor shelter house, what do we do with that spot up there? So it's gotta be, there must be a use for it, or should be. Don't wanna leave just a big hill there.
Well, when we get the numbers, we can discuss.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Other questions? Okay. Well, committee reports, we can all take care of those on our own. Comments from the mayor, I'd just say one, I would strongly urge anyone in town to go down and take advantage of the great baseball that we've already discussed here tonight, and how competitive these games are, and whether you have a team in there or not, it's gotta be exciting to go watch high school baseball, and this is a unique opportunity for people from Carroll to do that, so, I hope some people take advantage of that in the next few days. Any comments from the city council? And from the city manager?
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
So moved. Second.
seconded. All right, Tom and Jason, seconded. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Dirk, Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Truck. Yes. Ordinance.
Yes.